Thank you. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilwoman Quiñones-Sánchez, who presented a resolution honoring Judith Bernstein-Baker. Would Ms. Bernstein-Baker and those accompanying her please join the councilwoman at the podium? And joining the councilwoman, we have Councilman O, Councilman Jones, Councilman Greenlee, Councilwoman Parker, Councilwoman Blackwell.
Could her family join her up here? I know her grandson and her husband. Could you please join us up? Oh, there you go. Where's your grandson? Thank you. It's a different world post-November. And I think this is a fitting time to really honor and recognize someone who's been really a trailblazer when it comes to protecting, defending refugees, and really has educated and informed the city of Philadelphia around the importance of our immigrant community. Judy has retired, but she is busier today than she was when she was running highest. I asked her, what are you going to do outside of recovering from her surgery? And she gave me 12 things. Well, I wrote a book, I'm teaching at community college, I'm educating lawyers around immigration, and I've learned to knit, and she's making pussy hats. Sorry. All right. And so the women of council are going to put in an order for our hats. We really thank her for all of the work that she has done. She has helped all of us in our advocacy and in our work. And I'm sure there are hundreds of people who are in this country as contributing members who sought refuge with her and the work that she's done, and we really want to thank her. So with that, I thank my council colleagues who joined me this morning in recognizing and honoring Judith Bernstein-Baker. Judith Bernstein-Baker, born to Jewish immigrants from Poland and raised among Latino and Asian seamstresses in New York, has devoted every waking moment of her career to welcoming strangers facing exclusion and genocide into the fabric of our community, and to ensuring these new neighbors full access to everything our diverse and vibrant neighborhoods have to offer. And
whereas Judy's 18 years of service to Highest, Pennsylvania has been deeply personal, per the Jewish value of welcoming the stranger, Highest is the nation's oldest international migration and refugee resettlement agency, providing legal and supportive services to immigrants, refugees, and asylum seekers to assure their fair treatment and full integration into American society. And whereas since joining Highest Pennsylvania as executive director in 1998, Judy has led the nonprofit to triple in size and expand its services to provide legal, social, and resettlement services to low-income Philadelphians who seek political asylum, citizenship, and relief from deportation. And
whereas during Judy's tenure, Highest Pennsylvania has relocated refugees fleeing violence in Central America and West Africa, secured temporary protective status to Haitians after the 2010 earthquake, helped citizens obtain special visas for refugees from domestic from domestic abuse, and became the region's largest provider of free immigration services to unaccompanied, abused, and neglected minors. And
whereas since the day Judy first arrived in the city of brotherly love to attend the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Social Work and Temple University's Beasley School of Law, she has helped grow the city of Philadelphia's international reputation for welcoming, supporting, and embracing members of our society who have fled oppression, violence, and even torture. And
whereas Judy's tireless outreach and advocacy has influenced the preservation and expansion of immigrant rights, not only by the city of Philadelphia, but also by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. In 2003, Judy courageously established the Pennsylvania Immigrant and Citizen Coalition, our first and only statewide immigration advocacy organization. Most famously, Judy halted PennDOT's proposed cancellation of thousands of licenses for immigrants and refugees in need, and
whereas Judy Bernstein-Baker is a living legend in Philadelphia's public interest community. She was the first staff attorney at the Support Center for Child Advocates, the nation's oldest and largest pro bono program for abused and neglected children. She founded and directed the Penn Law Public Service Program, the first of its kind in an Ivy League school. She enlisted and trained hundreds of attorneys and law students in order to assist applicants for citizenship. She co-wrote Understanding Immigration Law and Practice, a guide for the next generation of practitioners to protect immigrants and refugees to the fullest extent of our laws. And she continues to advocate, tirelessly and without pause, for all Philadelphians' right to legal counsel to secure basic everyday needs. And
whereas in 2013, the Philadelphia Bar Foundation Award, originally known as the Apotheker Award, was presented to Judy Bernstein-Baker for exemplifying the highest ideas of public interest law and exceptional service to the legal service community. And whereas Judy's career is perhaps most of all marked by her unwavering dedication to her staff, colleagues throughout the Philadelphia public interest community. Best put by Reggie Shoford, Executive Director of the ACLU of Pennsylvania. And I quote, Judy always took the time to offer a word of encouragement or support, to attend an event, or to send a congratulatory message. It is her warmth, compassion, empathy, and genuine interest in others that made her so effective as an advocate for social justice. We will miss her among the ranks of the executive directors of nonprofit legal service organizations. But we are comforted to know she is just a phone call away. Now, therefore, be it.
Resolved by the Council of the City of Philadelphia that the Council honors, recognizes our dear friend Judith Bernstein-Baker upon her retirement and her second cycle of advocacy from HIAS, and a lifelong career in support and embracing of our most vulnerable neighbors. Thank you so much, Judy.
And the chair recognizes Ms. Bernstein-Baker for remarks.
Thank you very much, Council President Clark, and of course, thank you, Councilwoman Sanchez and Gim, and Councilman Jones, Greenleaf, and O, and Councilwoman Blackwell, all of whom have done so much to welcome immigrants and refugees to Philadelphia. And I don't know if there's anybody left from the Building Trades Council, but just so you know, my mother was an immigrant union organizer with the then IOGWU, and her story was recorded because she participated in many strikes and picket lines, and she informed me that one of the biggest problems they had was the fear that immigrants had to press for their labor rights. And the story hasn't changed much. I'm so happy to see there's a resolution later following this about fair wages for our working class brother and sister immigrants. But now I am truly honored and humbled by this resolution. And it is true that work with immigrants and refugees is my passion. But retired advocates don't just fade away. We continue to work as volunteers and activists, especially when the current climate targets immigrants and refugees based on unfounded fear and xenophobia. Keeping Philadelphia a welcoming city has never been more important. I want to share very briefly 4 lessons I learned when I was privileged to be the executive director of HIAS, Pennsylvania. I learned the the real importance of religious freedom, because so many of the refugees and immigrants even that we provided legal and social services to fled religious persecution in their home countries. And it reminded me what an important value that is to be treasured. Policies like a refugee and Muslim ban that are so diametrically at odds with this foundation need to be opposed, and I thank our city leadership who came to the airport on Saturday night and later on Sunday, and those who wanted to come but couldn't, to protect the refugees and immigrants who were caught in the executive ban. And by the way, one of those refugees, the spouse of an Iraqi translator for the U.S. Armed Forces, was a client of National HIAS, my national organization, and is now reunited with their families. I learned that immigrants and refugees contribute economically, culturally, professionally, and of course financially to our city and nation. I've witnessed individuals who work 2 and 3 jobs to support their families, who've opened businesses and have revitalized neighborhoods. Look at West Philadelphia, look at Northeast Philadelphia, look at South Philadelphia, and hopefully one day look at my own community, Northwest Philadelphia. It is therefore astounding, absolutely astounding, that high public officials perpetrate alternative facts that immigrants take jobs away from Americans, that they are criminals, and that they will do harm to our country. I suppose immigrants are scapegoated to deflect attention from our real problems of poverty, unemployment, and public education, and now we have solutions through this program that was just described before us. And I am sure some immigrants, young people will join that program. I am thankful to live in a city where our government does not engage in this divisive rhetoric or practices. I learned the critical importance of work of organizations, nonprofits like HIAS Pennsylvania, and there are others, certainly in our city, which provide legal, social, and support services to refugees and immigrants, working alongside community-based groups who are organizing for immigrant and refugee rights. But I can't sugarcoat this last lesson, and that is the ultimate goal of many who campaign to deport undocumented immigrants and even strip citizenship from children born to immigrants is to target immigrants of color and stop all immigration. It is alarming that today, in high positions in the Department of Homeland Security and the executive branch, there are individuals from the Federation for Immigration Reform and the Center for Immigration Studies. These organizations seek to cut legal immigration to the United States by 70%. These same organizations have board members whose goal is to maintain a, quote, and I'm quoting directly from the board member, a European American majority in the United States. But I've also learned that there's been an outpouring of support from the faith community and from the public at large to challenge the demonization of refugees and immigrants. And in my own community, Northwest Philadelphia, there's a lot of stirring, and we now have new community coalitions coming together to support immigrant and refugee rights. An executive director of a small nonprofit is a very taxing job. And I am fortunate to have had a husband, who's here today, Carl Baker, and a family. My grandson is here, also lives in Philadelphia, who stood by my side as we weathered many new policy shifts and crises. I'm proud to have a wonderful and competent and diverse staff, including the current executive director who's up here today, Catherine Miller-Wilson, and half of our staff are refugees or former immigrants, and there's some sitting in the audience, and an active and hands-on board at HIAS Pennsylvania, some of whom are also up here today. Together with scores of volunteers, the organization has helped thousands of immigrants and refugees whose only goal is to integrate into the fabric of the great American mosaic. And even though I was born and raised in New York City, and believe it or not, I shared a ride with a cab driver the other day who lived in the house I was born in New York, but moved to Philadelphia like I did. I am so proud we have a city council and a mayor who stand with immigrants and refugees. And that is really the vital lesson. We may have come over on different boats, some by choice and some by force through our ancestors, but we're all in the same boat now. Thank you for helping us build a united Philadelphia.
Councilor Biddies.